I'll call the meeting to order and the first item of business is requests for deferral of applications or any request for withdrawal of an application. Do we have any, Paul?
No, Mr. Chair, we do not.
No. Next item of business is adoption of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, if my memory is right, I believe in last month's, there's mention of conservation in the one application, I believe from Central Elgin. And it quotes Lower Thames Conservation. I believe it should be Kettle Creek.
You understand that one? See that one, Paul? Do you know what page it was on the?
I'm
One of the
going
applications for
from
the
memory, which is faint at times. It's a minor thing, but I think the planner must have mixed up the conservations.
I'll go through
Note that.
all of those in a short meeting and I'll make that change later.
Part of 7823.
Okay, thank you.
I do read them.
Any comment, Paul?
I'll make a note of that and make that change. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
I will move the minutes. without
moved by
adjustment.
Tom Marks,
I'll second
seconded
those.
by Bill Unger. I'll ask Paul to call the vote.
Moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Bill Unger, resolved that the minutes of the meeting held on November 22nd, 2023 be adopted. Ian Fleck,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes,
Bill Unger,
Yes, as amended.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
John Zeldin.
Yes.
7-0, that motion is carried.
You didn't call Doug Aldred? Are you there, Paul?
Yeah, sorry, Doug Aldred.
Yes.
7-0, that motion is carried.
The next item of business is business arising out of the minutes. None. Next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest of the general nature thereof. None. Correspondence items for information. Paul?
We have none, Mr. Chair, other than as a reminder to members of the committee that in the January meeting, we will be electing our new chair. So if that's something that you're interested in, just keep in mind that over the holidays, and when we return into January, that'll be the first thing on the agenda for that meeting.
Thank you. And the schedule of the 2024 Land Division Committee meeting dates.
I will email those out to all the members with the minutes from today's meeting.
Thank you. New business. Any new business from any members? None. So we have the first consent application, E79-23. Take notice an application is made by David and Kathleen Graham, 8779 Caverly Road, Malahide. Excuse me, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act as amended to sever lands municipally known as 210 Caverly Road. The applicant proposed to sever a parcel with a frontage of 13.71 meters, 45 feet, a depth of 33.58 meters, 110 feet, and an area of 460.58 meters squared, 0.11 acres, to create a new residential lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 460.58 meters squared, 0.11 acres proposed to remain in residential use. Do any have any applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Hi there, committee. My name is David Graham. I'm the owner and applicant. And on behalf of my wife, Caitlin, and I just wanted to appreciate your time and consideration today to this application of consent. I also just wanted to recognize the efforts and correspondence of Paul Clark and the county, as well as the town of Elmer, Heather James, and as well as the Catfish Creek Conservation. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I'll now ask Paul Clark, the planner, to give the reports of the municipality and the county, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my apologies for not being able to attend in person today. I am recovering from COVID and didn't want to get anybody sick, as you can tell by my voice. I'm still not 100% better, but I'm getting there slowly. In terms of this application, the application is to sever the existing residential lots pretty much exactly in half. The severed and retained parcel will both be 460 square meters thereabouts. It is designated as a Tier 1 settlement area in the County of Elgin official plan located within the town of Elmer. It is designated as low density residential in the town of Elmer's official plan, and it is currently zoned residential type 1 in the zoning bylaw. In terms of the provincial policy statements, the PPS encourages a mix of densities and land uses in settlement areas, which are efficient and adequately use the existing infrastructure in the area. The County of Elgin official plan directs that settlement areas, particular Tier 1 settlement areas, which are the largest in the county and generally have access to full municipal services, be the focus of growth and development within the county. Staff have reviewed this application against the County of Elgin's official plans, and we have found no deficiencies. In terms of the local official plan and zoning bylaw, there are just a few things that will need to be addressed. The minimum lot area for the R1B zone is 500 meters squared. And as I mentioned earlier, the proposed severed and retained lots are both just shy of that. The minimum lot frontage is 18 meters, and each lot will have a frontage of about 13, almost 14 meters. To address this, staff from the town of Elmer are recommending a zoning bylaw amendment as a condition of consent to address these deficiencies. With all other respects of the provincial policy statement, the county official plan, and the town's official plan, this application is in conformity to those, and staff are recommending approval of this application with the conditions that are attached in the county comments package. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from any of the members of the committee? No comments?
I'll move.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Tom Marks. I'd like to ask Paul to call the vote, please.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Tom Mark. Resolved that severance application E7923 be approved with conditions. Stu Galdred,
Yes.
John Selden,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck.
Yes.
7-0, that motion is carried.
The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of notice of decision during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents. For certification of the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing Land Division elgin.ca. The next application is E80-23. Take notice that an application has been made by Adam Wissink, London, Ontario, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act, as amended to sever lands mutually known as 162 William Street. The applicant proposes to sever a parcel with a frontage of 24.6 meters, 80 feet, a depth of 17.1 meters, 56 feet, and an area of 420.66 meters squared, 0.10 acres, to sever a parcel which merged untitled with an adjacent lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 179.55 meters squared, 0.04 acres, proposed to remain in residential use. Do we have any applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application? I'll now ask Paul Clark to give the report for the municipality and the county, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the committee, this is a fairly straightforward one we have. The property being severed was accidentally merged with an adjacent lot when it was purchased and held in identical ownership. The applicant is just simply applying to the Land Division Committee to reverse that merger and return the two parcels back to their original form as they were prior to that purchase. As such, the land use of the property and the zoning bylaw will not change. Effectively, nothing will change with this. The land uses that are currently in existence will continue after the severance. And that is why, as you'll see, Central Elgin's conditions on this application are just one. And our applications are, while a little bit more than that, are reflective of how straightforward this application is. Staff are recommending that this application be approved with the conditions that we've included in the report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Any comments from any of the members of the committee? Tom Marks,
Happy to move.
moved by Tom Marks,
Seconded, Dave.
seconded by Dave Jenkins. Ask for the vote.
Moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Dave Jenkins, resolved that severance application E80-23 be approved with conditions. Stu Guldred,
Yes.
John Zeldin,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck,
Yes.
7-0, that motion is carried.
The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision, during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing landdivision@elgin.ca. which is application number E 81-23. Take notice that an application is made by Amy Dale, 108 Center Street, St. Thomas, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 to sever lands mutually known as 24953 Pioneer Line. The applicant proposes to sever a parcel with a frontage of 44.513 meters, 146 feet, a depth of 104.117 meters, 341 feet, and an area of 0.4606 hectares, 1.14 acres, to create a new residential lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 2.47 acres, proposed to remain in agricultural use. Do any of applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application, please introduce yourself to the committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Helen Button. I'm a lawyer at Gunn & Associates. I'm here instead of Amy Dale this morning. We act for the applicant. Carla O'Collison is also attending via Zoom.
Thank you very much. I'll now call on Paul Clark to give the report of the municipality and the, and the county of Elgin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the committee, this application is to create a new residential lot. Pardon me, the severed lot will have a frontage on Pioneer Line and the retained lot will have the frontage on Maple Street. The subject lands are currently designated Tier 1 settlement area in the County of Elgin official plan. It is designated residential in the municipal official plan and is currently zoned mixture of residential first density R1 and future residential. In terms of the provincial policy statements, the provincial policy statement is in favor of applications for infill development. This is within a settlement area, and the PPS encourages land use designations and densities within settlement areas that efficiently use land and resources. In terms of the County of Elgin official plan, as I mentioned, this is designated as Tier 1 settlement area. A variety of land uses and densities are permitted in Tier 1 settlement areas, and severances for new residential development are permitted within these areas. Staff from the municipality of West Elgin have reviewed this application against their official plan policies and zoning bylaw. They found no issues with the official plan. A minor variance will be required for the rear yard, or sorry, for the side yard setback of the existing outbuilding along the east lot line. Other than that, the application conforms to the rest of the zoning provisions. As such, staff are recommending that this application be approved with conditions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Any of the committee members have any comments? John Selden?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to Helen. Is it Bettman? Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
It's Button.
Oh, but I beg your pardon. Would you just comment briefly on the access? There's apparently an easement over the retained lot at the end of Maple Street. I just couldn't make that out.
There is, and we did include, I think, if you flip through the full application, there is a copy of that. This was, so I got involved in this file more recently. Amy Dale and the planner and the surveyor reviewed the title extensively to ensure that there is going to be sufficient width to allow continuing access. There was some concern around that at the beginning, and they've confirmed that won't be an issue. They went back through all of the title records, reviewed that easement. It was included with the application materials. I'm not seeing a copy of it with the planning report this morning, but it should be there with the complete records of everything.
Thank you.
Any other comments from any members?
I'll move. I'll second.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Duke Aldred. And I'll ask the vote to be called.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Doug Aldred, resolved that severance application E8123 be approved with conditions. Doug Aldred,
Yes.
John Selden,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck.
Yes.
7-0, the motion is carried.
The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision, during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing landdivision@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take notice that an application has been made by Connor Wilkes, Dillon Consulting, London, Ontario, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act as amended to sever lands municipally known as 8068 Union Road. The applicant proposed to sever a parcel with a frontage of 14.35 meters, 47 feet, a depth of 42.6 meters, 140 feet, and an area of 615.26 meters squared, 0.15 acres to create a new residential lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 17,799 meters squared, 4.40 acres for future residential development. The subject lands are also subject of severance applications E8323, E8423, and E8523. Do I have any applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee. Well, it's strictly for law. Strictly for law. I'd like to ask Paul to give any reports from the municipality and the county on this. Can we deal with all four applications, or do we each one got to be done separately, Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We can deal with all four of these applications at the same time since they're all involving the same property.
So could we have the county report and the municipality, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So through you to the rest of the committee, this application or these applications are to create 4 new residential lots within an existing settlement area. The retained lot will be used for future residential development at some point in the future, but a plan of subdivision will be required before that can be undertaken. As I mentioned, this application is for lot creation within a settlement area. It is a tier 2 settlement area in the County of Elgin official plan, and it is a settlement area in the local official plan. With respect to the official plan policies, there are no deficiencies from the county's perspective. Staff from the Township of Southwold have reviewed this application against their official plan and zoning bylaw policies. Zoning bylaw amendment will be required for the undersized lot frontage for each newly created residential lot. And then the retained lands will be placed into a holding zone pending the future draft plan of subdivision application, which, as I mentioned, will come at a later date. And that holding plan will just freeze the land use on that property until such time as the draft plan of subdivision application process has been started. There are a number of conditions from the county and the township on this application. Both the county and the township are recommending that this application be approved with conditions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Comment from any of the members of the committee?
Move to approve.
Moved by Bill Unger. Second by Doug Aldred. I'll now call for the vote, please.
Moved by Bill Unger, seconded by Doug Aldred, resolved that severance applications E8223 through E8523 be approved with conditions. Doug Aldred,
Yes.
John Selden,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck,
Yes,
7-0, the motion is carried.
thank you, Paul. The decision rendered today for this application, there is four, and will be circulated within 15 days. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision, during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing landdivision@elgin.ca. application E 86-23. Take notice an application as made by Corey Pietrack, 3121 Old Dexter Line, Sparta, for consent to pursue sections 53 of the Planning Act as amended to sever lands mutually known as 3121 Old Dexter Line. The applicant proposed to sever a parcel with an area of 6.94 hectares, 17 acres, to be conveyed as an addition to the adjacent lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 0.4 hectares, 0.98 acres, proposed to remain in residential use. Do we have any applicants or agents and interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Corey Piechuk, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce myself as the applicant. And I'd also like to just thank the committee and all other parties involved for the review of this application. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now ask Paul Clark to give the reports from the municipality and the county, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the committee. So this application is for a lot addition and the creation of a new easement. So the applicants are severing off the property and taking that severed portion and adding it to the parcel to the east. They are retaining a small lot with an area of about 1 acre, which contains the existing dwelling on the property, as well as creating a small easement for access. In terms of the provincial policy statement, the provincial policy statement allows minor lot boundary adjustments in the agricultural area, provided that no new lots are being created. As I mentioned, no new lot is being created. We are taking the agricultural land and adding it to an adjacent agricultural parcel, and the retained land will remain as a residential property. It is as if it was a surplus farm dwelling. If it was a surplus farm dwelling, at 1 acre, it more than meets the typical policies that we have for those. In terms of the municipality of Central Elgin's official plan and zoning bylaw, their staff have reviewed this against their policies. It does comply with relevant land use designations and policies of the Central Elgin official plan. A minor variance will be required to recognize that 3121 Old Dexter Line does not have any frontage onto Dexter Line. Staff are recommending approval of this application as it is consistent with the provincial policy statement and complies with both official plans. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Do we have any comments from any of the members of the committee? No comments?
I would move.
Moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Dave Jenkins. I now ask Paul to call the vote, please.
Moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Dave Jenkins, resolved that severance application E 86-23 be approved with conditions. Doug Aldred,
Yes.
John Selden,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck.
Yes.
7-0, the motion is carried.
The decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision, during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing landdivision@elgin.ca. Application number E 87-23. Take notice that an application is made by Tracy Tucker, 358 Elm Street, St. Thomas, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended to sever lands municipally known as 42483 Southdale Line. The applicant proposed to sever a parcel with a frontage of 32.024 meters, 105 feet, a depth of 31.811 meters, 105 feet, and an area of 1,021.10 meters squared, 0.25 acres, to be conveyed as an addition to an adjacent lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 2,042.36 meters squared, 0.5 acres, proposed to remain in residential use. Do we have any applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application? Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Good morning. I am Tracy Tucker with Doug Terry Developments, and I am here on behalf of the owners as well as we are the applicant for the proposed consent. Basically, we are just trying to round out our Eagle Ridge subdivision along Snowy Owl, and acquiring these lands will allow us to add 4 additional lots to that area.
Okay, thank you. I'll now ask Paul Clark to give the report from the municipality of Central Elgin and the county.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to the committee. So as Tracy had already mentioned, this is an application for a lot addition, just to round out some development in the existing subdivision. As you'll recall, earlier in the year, we also did a very similar application to the lot immediately to the east of the subject lands. That was application E3223, which was almost a carbon copy of this one, severing off the back lot and adding it to the existing block in the plan of subdivision that's currently underway in that area. In regards to the County of Elgin official plan, it is within a Tier 1 settlement area. It's designated residential in Central Elgin's official plan. It is currently designated residential zone 1 and open space 2. It does comply with the provincial policy statement and the county's official plan policies. In terms of the municipality of Central Elgin, their staff have reviewed this application and found that it does conform to their policies. They are just requesting that confirmation of a zoning bylaw amendment to permit residential use on the severed parcel. It's the one at the rear that's being conveyed to the existing block within the plan of subdivision, and confirmation that the retained parcel has been connected to municipal services as well. But other than that, there are no major issues with this application. It does conform with the official plan policies and is consistent with the provincial policy statement. As such, staff are recommending approval of this application with conditions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any comments for any of the members of the committee? Tom Marks?
It appears very straightforward. I will move it.
It's moved by Tom Marks. Go ahead, John.
Just a couple of quick questions. Paul, did Central Elgin just fail to send a council approval or their recommendation for approval? And also to Ms. Tucker, on page 93, it indicates that it's the lots to be joined to the lot to the south. Is that correct?
Through the chair. So there is a block at the front of the property that is, I believe, block 75 in the subdivision. And essentially that would be where we join into, and it gives us access. You can see it as a little strip right at the bottom where the mouse, on that one, there's like a tiny little strip under the severed right there where your mouse is. So that is owned currently by Doug Terry Limited, and has basically, we put that strip there to allow for this future development to have frontage. So it will be joined into that block, as will the neighboring severance from earlier this year.
So it's being joined to a lot to the south then. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I just want to make sure I've got my directions right here.
Yes, there's that small strip of land that's where it will be merged with. And then there's a road right direct. So there's the road, a small strip of land, and then the lands to be severed.
Thank you.
It's been moved by Tom Marks. Or any other questions?
I'll second that.
It's second by Bill Unger. No other questions from? I'll ask Paul to call the vote, please.
Moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Bill Unger, resolved that severance application E8623 be approved with conditions. Stu Goldred,
Yes.
John Zeldin,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck,
Yes.
7-0, the motion is carried.
Decision rendered today for this application will be circulated within 15 days. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing landdivision@elgin.ca. Now deal with application 88-23 and 89-23. Take notice an application is made by Tracy Tucker, 358 Elm Street, St. Thomas, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act as amended to sever lands mutually known as 42399 Southdale Line. The applicant proposed to sever a parcel with a frontage of 12.2 meters, 40 feet, and a depth of 39.6 meters, 130 feet, an area of 483 meters squared, 0.11 acres, to create a new residential lot. The applicant is retaining a lot with a frontage of 17.1 meters, 56 feet, and a depth of 36.9 meters, 120 feet, and an area of 688 meters squared, 0.17 acres, to be used for future residential development, and conveying a parcel with an area of 204.5 meters squared to the adjacent parcel to the south. The applicant is retaining a lot with an area of 635 meters squared, 0.15 acres, proposed to remain in residential use. Applicants or agents or interested parties who wish to speak to this application, please introduce yourself to the committee.
Tracy Tucker with Doug Terry Developments. I am here as the applicant and on behalf of the owner. And I'm available to answer any questions. We are creating 3 new lots and adding into the natural heritage and swim block to the south for the 4th.
Thank you,
portion.
Tracy. I'll now ask Paul Clark, the planner, to give us the report of municipality in Elgin County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to the committee. So this application is somewhat similar to the previous one, that we are just rounding out some development on lands that are adjacent to a plan of subdivision. So the current lot is used for a single detached residential dwelling. What the applicant is proposing to create are separate residential lots. The lot to the far south of the existing property, that smaller lot, that's a severed lot that will be added to an adjacent property. So That is a lot addition and not the creation of a new lot. The rest of the applications all deal with creation of new residential parcels. It is currently designated as Tier 1 settlement area in the County of Elgin official plan. It is designated a mix of residential natural heritage in the local official plan and is presently zoned open space 2 in the municipality of Central Elgin zoning bylaw. The provincial policy statement permits a creation of new lots for a variety of purposes in settlement areas. The County of Elgin official plan encourages residential development within Tier 1 settlement areas as they are the largest settlement areas in the county and have access to full municipal services. As I mentioned, we are dealing with a subject land that is adjacent to an existing plan of subdivision. So infrastructure and traffic are not a concern in this case. In terms of the Central Elgin official plan and zoning bylaw policies, their staff have reviewed this application against those policies and found that it is acceptable. The municipality of Central Elgin is requesting the conveyance of a daylight triangle as well as a 0.3 meter reserve along Southdale line. Usually you'll see those conditions in plans of subdivision. Given that this is an application, like I said, adjacent to an existing plan of subdivision, that's why some of those conditions that are usually reserved for subdivision applications are being brought into this consent application. Staff are recommending that the application be approved with conditions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Any comments from any of the members of the committee? Comments?
I'll move. I'll second.
Moved by John Andrews, second by Dave Jenkins. I'll ask Paul to call the vote, please.
Moved by John Andrews, seconded by Dave Jenkins, resolved that severance application E8823 and E8923 be approved with conditions. Stu Guldred,
Yes.
John Zeldin,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck,
Yes.
7-0, the motion is carried.
Decision rendered today for this applications will be circulated within 15 days. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision, during which the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 2 years to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by emailing landdivision@elgin.ca. I believe the next meeting, Paul, is January 24th,
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
and all the other dates will be given to us on when we get the minutes. And I'll ask for the motion of adjournment, moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Dave Jenkins. Ask for the vote.
Moved by Tom Marks, seconded by Dave Jenkins, resolved that the committee adjourn at 10:08 a.m. on December 13th, 2023, to meet again at 9 a.m. on January 24th, 2024. Stu Guldred,
Yes.
John Zeldin,
Yes.
John Andrews,
Yes.
Tom Marks,
Yes.
Bill Unger,
Yes.
Dave Jenkins,
Yes.
Ian Fleck,
Yes.
7-0, that motion is carried. Gentlemen, before you go, I would just like to thank you for all of your hard work and dedication over the past year. You guys have made this term of Land Division Committee a very smooth and well-oiled machine, and I do genuinely appreciate all of your hard work over the past year. And thank you, Mr. Fleck, for chairing Land Division Committee for the second year in a row. It is much appreciated. You are always able to conduct these meetings in smooth manners and make sure that everything goes well. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year, and we will see you again in January. Again, my apologies for not being able to attend in person today, but with it being so close to Christmas, I wanted to make sure that I didn't get anybody sick.
Well, we wish you all the best, Paul, and hope you're feeling a lot better for Christmas. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And to the committee, it's been a pleasure to work with all the members of the committee this past year. And I look forward to being on the committee with these members next year. I'm not saying as chair, I'm just saying as to work with everybody. It's been a pleasure. And to Susie too, thank you very much for the work you do. And everybody have a happy Christmas and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.